They say it was a targeted hit. Time will tell. I hope there isn't any foul play on Rock's side. There's obviously some foul play because we got a man dead.
A man from Baltimore went public claiming he might be the father of Chrisean Rock's child. He live-streamed. He demanded a DNA test. He said he just wanted the truth. Then, according to rumors that spread across the internet, he was involved in a violent incident. And the timing of that incident, happening while the paternity debate was at its loudest, is what turned this from celebrity gossip into something people couldn't stop talking about. Here's the full timeline, because once you lay it out in order, the situation looks very different from the way most people have been describing it. Chrisean Rock grew up in Baltimore in a difficult environment. In interviews, she's spoken about homelessness, family instability, and a childhood with very little stability. When she crossed paths with Blueface and entered his Blue Girls Club, a chaotic reality-style competition he ran through the Zeus network, she immediately stood out. Loud, unfiltered, and completely unpredictable, she became the person everyone was watching. Clips of her arguments and confrontations spread across platforms, and within months she had built a following that had nothing to do with music. What turned her into a genuine internet figure was the relationship with Blueface itself. Their dynamic was unlike anything fans had watched before. Arguments, public breakups, reunions, physical altercations, all of it playing out online in real time like an unscripted show with no clear ending. Critics called it toxic. Fans called it impossible to look away from. Zeus Network reality shows built storylines around them. The more chaotic things got, the larger the audience grew. But behind all of it, people started wondering whether the relationship was as real as it looked, or whether the drama had become a product. That question got complicated fast when Chrisean announced she was pregnant. For most people watching, the assumption was obvious. Blueface was the father. Their relationship had been the center of everything for so long that no one expected the story to go anywhere else. Blueface didn't see it that way. Almost immediately, he began posting publicly about wanting a DNA test. Not congratulations, not excitement, just doubt, stated plainly online for his entire following to see. The posts went viral and turned the pregnancy announcement into a debate before the baby had even arrived. Some fans defended him, saying his concerns were valid given the chaos of their relationship. Others said his public behavior was deliberately humiliating. Either way, the seed of doubt was planted, and it grew quickly. Because around that same time, a separate conversation started circulating on social media. People from Baltimore who claimed to know Chrisean from before her rise to fame began suggesting that another man had been involved with her during the same period as Blueface. The timeline, according to those posts, overlapped in a way that made the paternity genuinely unclear. Then the man himself appeared. He went live on social media multiple times. In those streams, he explained that he had known Chrisean before the Blueface era, and that the timing of the pregnancy raised questions he couldn't ignore. He wasn't aggressive in those videos. By most accounts from people who watched them, he came across as emotional and straightforward. He said clearly that he wasn't trying to cause problems. He just wanted a DNA test to confirm the truth one way or another. If the child wasn't his, fine. But if it was, he wanted to be acknowledged. The live stream spread quickly. Comment sections split between people who believed him and people who thought he was chasing clout from Chrisean's growing fame. But the volume of the reaction suggested people felt there was something genuine about what he was saying, even if they couldn't fully verify it. He kept going live. He kept asking for the test, and the internet kept watching. Then the story got darker. Rumors started circulating across blogs and commentary channels that the man had been involved in a violent incident. The details were murky. Different accounts described the situation in different ways. But the core claim was the same across multiple sources. Something had happened to him. And the timing, according to people pushing the story online, was not something they were willing to dismiss as coincidence. This is where the disclaimer matters and needs to be said clearly. None of those claims were verified. No official reports were published confirming the details of what allegedly happened or establishing any connection to Chrisean Rock or anyone close to her. The internet is not a courtroom, and speculation is not evidence. But that's also exactly what made the story explode. Because when you have a man publicly demanding a DNA test, openly challenging a story involving a famous person, and then something happens to him while that challenge is still unresolved, people don't wait for verification before forming opinions. YouTube videos analyzing the timeline appeared within days. Screenshots were compiled, old live stream clips were replayed with new context. The conversation shifted from paternity debate to something that felt, to many viewers, like a mystery with missing pieces. Some creators said the incident looked suspicious. Others pushed back and said the timing was being used to manufacture a conspiracy where none existed. What almost nobody did was simply ignore it, because the combination of elements was too specific to dismiss as background noise. While all of that was spreading, someone connected to Chrisean's family appeared on a podcast and was asked directly about the situation. The response was careful in a way that caught people's attention. The speaker didn't confirm anything, but they also didn't dismiss the rumors the way you'd expect someone to dismiss something they knew was false. Instead, the language was guarded, suggesting the situation didn't look good for certain people involved, without saying who or why. That kind of response, delivered on a platform with a large audience, immediately fueled speculation. Viewers replayed the clip. Commentators broke down the word choices. People who had already been following the story closely said it felt like confirmation of something, even if nothing specific had actually been confirmed. That's the power of a non-answer when the question is serious enough. Meanwhile, the paternity question itself kept developing. Reports began circulating online that Blueface had pursued a formal DNA test through legal channels, separate from the earlier online back and forth that fans had been debating. According to those reports, the results of that test did not confirm him as the father. Those claims spread quickly and reignited every rumor that had been building since the pregnancy was announced. Blueface's own social media behavior had already made his position clear across multiple posts over several months. The formal test, if the reports were accurate, appeared to confirm what he had been saying publicly since the beginning, which brought everything back to the original question. If Blueface's DNA test came back the way reports suggested, and if the man from Baltimore who had been demanding answers was telling the truth about his connection to Chrisean, then the story that the internet had been following for over a year looked very different from the one that started with a pregnancy announcement. And that man, who had gone live repeatedly asking for a simple test, was no longer publicly saying anything. Whether that silence came from the alleged violent incident, from a legal reason, from personal choice, or from something else entirely, nobody outside the situation knows for certain. But it's the silence after the noise that people found most unsettling. He had been consistent and visible for weeks. Then he wasn't. Chrisean Rock has not directly addressed most of the specific claims that have circulated. Her public presence continued through her social media, her music, and her life as a mother, but the specific questions about paternity, the man from Baltimore, and the rumors surrounding the violent incident have largely gone unanswered in any direct way. That unanswered quality is what keeps the story alive. When someone with millions of followers says nothing about a specific accusation, two interpretations exist simultaneously. Either the claims are too absurd to dignify with a response, or they're too sensitive to address without creating more damage. Viewers watching from the outside can't always tell which is which. What the full timeline shows is this: a pregnancy that raised public doubts from the beginning, a man who stepped forward to challenge the narrative and then disappeared from the conversation, a family member who gave a guarded non-answer when asked directly, and DNA test results that reportedly didn't go the way many people assumed they would. None of that proves anything on its own. Together, it explains why the story refuses to go away. Chrisean Rock built her platform on living publicly. Every dramatic moment of her life became content that millions of people followed. That openness is what made her famous. But it also means that when serious questions arise, the same audience that celebrated the chaos starts looking for answers with the same intensity they once used to follow the drama. The full truth about what happened, about who the father actually is, about what happened to the man from Baltimore, and about what that guarded podcast response was really pointing at, may still be developing, or it may never come out at all. Do you think there's more to this story than what's been made public? Or do you think the internet turns speculation into something bigger than the facts support? Drop it in the comments. Subscribe for more breakdowns that go past the surface on the stories everyone is talking about.